everyone, and welcome to my universe. So, finally getting close to finishing off basic rendering on the clothes here. I just have, some of the patterns I want to put on various things on her clothes. You can see I kind of got started on the cuffs of her sleeves and whatnot, but I haven't shaded any of it, so that's going to be what I do today, and with any luck, we'll have time to actually start getting into figuring out how I want to blend all this together. I am still so excited for that. So let's just jump right in there. There's a couple of things I've been looking at. I think I want to adjust the shadows on the mask here, the way the hand is casting them. And I'm also considering adding, what would you call that? You know how after you put the belt through the buckle, it has a little dangly bit coming off? I'm debating on whether or not I want to have something like that or have it a little bit more tight and decorative like this. Like, it doesn't have to be a literal belt, right? It could just kind of look like one. So I kind of want to mess around with that a little bit, but after that, it's going to be all patterning all the time until there's no patterns left to pattern. So, alright. But first, I do think I want to fix the way the shadows are casting on the mask here. I don't know. The fingers are supposed to be quite close to it, so for the most part, I think this is fine. It's just right through here in particular. I just wanted a little bit stronger of a cast right there, and then I want a little bit of lightness around the eye hole thing right there. And I also want that to be true up here as well. We're just gonna add a little bit more light there. And a little bit more. I'm just debating what color I want to use. But I think I'll still use the shadow color for it. With maybe just a touch of extra bright light right at the bottom here. I think I can make it look like that. And there we go. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do. Awesome. Sometimes it is pretty easy. So now here, I just wanted to think about adding some more belt-like details. What way do belts normally go? It's been a very long time since I've worn a belt. So normally, I think I could probably make it go this way if I wanted to. I think it would look better than going into the light here, so I'll do it that way. And I don't trust anything right now, so I'm gonna do this on a new layer. And, there we go. Okay, I don't know, do I want a little floppy bit coming out like that? Does that look nice? I'm gonna keep it real messy just to verify whether or not I even like something like that. I don't think I'd want it to be that long. Maybe a short one. No, I really do think it just looks better kept together with it being one straight long piece there. It doesn't necessarily make much sense, like practical sense. Belts don't typically behave like that, but I don't know. I just think it looks better. Just for curiosity's sake, let me try it with a different color and see if that changes my mind at all. Because, I mean, it does look a little bit more belt-like like this, but I don't know, maybe if it's a little shorter. I want to do my due diligence. Maybe just a little shorter. I don't like to dismiss ideas until I'm sure that it's not the direction I want to go. That's a little better. And then I could put like little belt holes over there or something. Let me compare. This is another advantage of using multiple layers for science. Is that you can do a before and after comparison. But no, I don't know. I think I still just prefer it like that. Okay, I'm satisfied. I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay, it's a fake belt. It's fine. So, another thing that I was thinking about was that I looked at the trim I was making here, and I realized I had a thin outer line and then a thicker inner line. But when I looked at the skirt, the line here was very thick. So I think I'm going to make that a bit thinner and have it kind of follow the same rules as the rest of the pattern here. So that's going to mean trimming. I think this one's probably fine. I might trim it slightly. But, like, these guys need to be thinned out, and then I need to add another line going around here in order to make it look more like the rest of this. So, let's go do that. I just had the trim done separately here. It made sense for what needed to happen, so I will trim this part very, very slightly. I really do like the way the skirt looks. It really ended up coming together, so that was really nice. I was really worried about it, because I don't know. I have trouble with this kind of shape. If it's all the same length, it's fine. But the minute that I add this kind of... I don't actually know what you call these kinds of skirts, but... where it's not all the same length. There's trouble. And my brain has a little bit of trouble wrapping my head around the kind of shapes that I need in order to make this work. But I think I found a good way to break it down here, so I'm just really happy with how it ended up looking. Okay. So I have the right color. Yes, yes. Perfect. Oh, I have the layer locked. That's no good there. These guys are supposed to be a little bit translucent, so... You know, they don't really look translucent. Do I have, like, some extra overlapping shenanigans on it? I do. These guys should not be overlapping. These guys don't really overlap. Okay. And unfortunately, because of how I handled all the layers here, I think that the translucency will be handled for me. Yeah, these guys not overlapping. That guy is, so I'll leave that like that. But the rest of these, no. Okay. Back to what I was doing. But yeah, since I have these on another layer, I can pretty freely just draw, and I don't have to do anything special to get the frills looking translucent. So I'm just looking up at the cape one more time to kind of figure out about how wide it is. How wide this line is. Okay. Because I do want to keep these things a fairly similar width all the way through. It'll make everything look a little bit more unified. I think it might be a little bit thicker around here just because the line holding the frills does have to be a little bit thicker than what I used everywhere else. Otherwise, it will look way too thin. But I'll try to at least keep it appearing somewhat consistent, even if it isn't actually. Do some art magic in that regard. Okay, so like that, is that good? Or is that a little bit too thick? I think it is a little bit too thick and just a little bit too close. I want to make sure to get this first one really accurate so that this way I can compare every other pattern, every other little bit of trim on the skirt with this one, and then I don't have to be scrolling all the way up in order to compare it to the cape. And that'll be nice. And then you can see here there is a little bit of a fold here, so I'm going to put a bit of a wiggle into this. It's going to go just kind of down just a little here. Not a lot. It's not a huge fold, but this will kind of make that a little bit more believable. And I'll even cut into this part just a little as well. Give it just a little bit of a wiggle. Up here too. That's kind of the nice thing about shading clothes. I have a little bit of an unsteady hand, and using that to kind of match where the folds and stuff are going to go actually makes it look a little bit better. So I don't have to be quite as precise. And you can see, I very rarely do things at a single stroke. I'm not... My hand isn't really steady enough for that. It always ends up a little bit wobbly, so I just prefer to get something down and then sculpting the rest of it out. So that's what's happening here. Just doing a little bit of sculpting on the line in order to get it to be the shape and width that I want it to be. I see a lot of really good artists that are able to do like line art, for example, in a single stroke. I am not one of those people. So it's okay. I don't think I have to be. I just gotta kind of carve it out. How's that looking? I think that looks pretty good. So this is going to be kind of my reference width. And then on this guy, since he's all in shadow... Ooh, that doesn't look good right here. Kinda surprised I left it like that. Oh. That's why I left it like that. It's a overlapping shenanigan, not a skirt shenanigan. I'm still kind of surprised I left it like that. Mistakes. You find them. Alright. Well. And like I mentioned before, I do think that the edge line here has to be just a little bit thicker than it normally would be, so a little bit thicker than what I put down there. Just because it's also holding frills, and it needs to be a certain width for that. So I will, even though this one's just the backside and we don't see the frills that it is holding, I'm still gonna make it just a little bit thicker than the rest. And then I need to decide which other places need to have a trim. I think there's quite a bit. I think I'm actually gonna put some on the frills itself. That's gonna have to be in a different layer, but yeah, I think I might end up doing that. Maybe not these ones, but at least on the mask, I think that'll look good. And kind of on these ones, I think it'll look good. But I'll show you what I'm talking about once I get there. Right now, look, I'm doing a little bit of detailed work again, which means that it's a little bit tedious. There's not very much to think about. And so my mind is gonna wander like you wouldn't believe. It's just gonna be thinking about like the next 20 steps. Don't worry about it. It's just gonna happen. Because all I'm doing is I'm plopping down a line and then I'm gonna compare it to here. I'm gonna find how thick this line should be, and then I'm gonna get it smooth. Like, and I'm gonna have to do it, you know, about a dozen times, just due to all the pleats in the skirt here. There's a lot there. It's okay, it'll be pretty. It'll just take a second to actually draw it. Especially considering I am prone to perfectionism. But I don't like leaving blobs in my trim here. I think it looks pretty bad. I want it to be nice and smooth. And then after this one specifically, I'll go in and fix the skirt here, because this part used to be covered up. So I didn't have to worry about it not having the right color. But that'll be easy enough to fix after I get all this straightened out and go in the direction that I want it to. Okay, I think this is curving up a little bit more than it should, so this part needs to come down a little bit more. Kind of right through here. Right through there. And then I need to adjust the top in about the same way. I do want it to be about the same width all the way through. Just all the way through. I'm not worried about the part that's escaping containment and going onto the legs. That will be the last thing that I fix. Because if I fixed it now, I'd probably just end up having to fix it again after. And that would be silly. But I think that's good. You know, once again, I don't think I have to keep it completely straight and completely parallel. I think that a little bit of wiggle is probably healthy. Okay, and I do want to fix the inside there. Easy enough to do. And then it's on to the next one. God. There's so many of them. Art is hard. It's okay. It's worth it. Okay. So I just kind of want to thin this one out a bit. It's like, man, I find myself wishing that I had finalized what I was going to do for the rest of the trim before I went and finalized it for the skirt, because now I have to repaint a whole bunch of things and it's really sad. But, you know, I wasn't thinking about it at the time, and now I kind of have to suffer for it, but that's okay. These things happen. Okay. Yeah, and I can see that I'm gonna have to do some shadow correction here again. Did I need to do any over here? No, not really. I mean, I will have to put the shadows back on, you know, for like a cast shadow from the frills and whatnot over there once it's all done. But I'm gonna wait until it's all done before I do any of that. So let's see, based on just how I drew it, I kind of have a little bump there. And I kind of like that little bump, and I think that's too close. So I'm gonna try that again. Yeah, there we go. So I was looking at the distance between the thin stripe and the thick stripe out here. Just comparing it to the two that I've done already. And it was indeed just a little bit too close. So I pushed it back a little. Okay. There we go. Then I'll trim it there. I think this one actually already looks pretty alright. So I think I'll just leave that one like that. And on to the next one. Oh boy. And it looks like I have a little bit of extra overlap here. I don't think that these guys should be overlapping right there. Just kind of over here. So I'm gonna clean that up just a little. I think that's fine. Just right there. And then off to the next one. And it'll be again and again until it's done. Alright. Hello there, Leo Meow. Welcome. right now, I'm just drawing some nice little trim on the skirt. I had it done one way early on, but then I changed the final design for how it's gonna go, so now I'm updating the skirt to use something that's a little more consistent with how the rest of the outfit's looking. So I'm going for this pattern now. So it's just time to draw a bunch of thin lines. It'll be great. Oh, really? Okay, cool. I don't know, I just hit buttons. Glad to see that my settings are working well. Okay. Let's see, I think that's a good thickness, so that should be good. And then I just clean up the edge a little. This one, you know what? I want to make sure that the backside is gonna work out here. Right there, because I don't want them to overlap in a weird way. Let me see. That's you, right? Where are you? There you are. Okay, so I just want to make sure that they don't overlap in a weird way, because it looks like they might. Yeah, they kind of do. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one just a little bit shorter. Yeah, I don't really know how it works either. That's why I said I just push buttons. But nonetheless, I'm really glad to hear that it's all working very well. Yeah, sure. Give me just a sec to adjust the little thing I'm adjusting here. And then I'll zoom out. All right, there we go. So right now, just kind of working on the various little trim bits. So you got the bit on her cape here, and now doing the skirt. And I'm hopeful that soon, once I kind of finish off the trim here, I'll be able to work on getting all of the clothes and whatnot to be about as soft as her hair and face. So, yeah, thank you. I've been working pretty hard on it. Been on it for a while. And I've only done the one half here, so it's okay. I'll probably still be at this one for a while longer, but you know, it is okay. All is well. I don't mind taking a long time on each thing I paint. Yeah. And there's still a little ways to go, but that's okay too. I couldn't decide if I wanted to draw her in a suit or a dress, so I said, screw it, let's do both. And, it's gonna make it take a little longer, but that's alright. I do like my dress design too. So, I'm looking forward to working on both of them. Okay, but now that I know that this is no longer gonna be overlapping weirdly, I guess I'll just do this one while I'm here. But then I want to go back to what I was doing before. And I go back to the main part of the little skirty thing. I am! On Thursdays when I do all of my coding streams. So this past week, I've just been working on a lot of quality of life stuff. So that this way I'll be able to test the game sanely. So I'm getting a lot of stuff working with how I actually expect the player to be able to play the game. It's been fantastic. At some point, I'll also be doing all the art for the game on stream, probably, but that's not going to be for a while. There's still a lot of groundwork I want to lay before I start worrying about art design. It'd just be so sad to make a bunch of assets and then have to change everything because I decided to change something. So, I want to make sure I got everything all well and good before I start doing too much of the art. Too close. There we go. And I think I'll just fix all the little bits of shading after. Whoa. I mean, I guess it depends on how much you like art. I've been really looking forward to it, but I do a lot of drawing, just in general, so I'm not too bothered. And at least the nice thing within modern, I guess, game design and whatnot is just that there are assets out there that you can use, so you don't necessarily have to make it yourself. Maybe you can't do that for a commercial game, but if you just want to make one and put a game out there, use it for practice, you've got lots of options. So, I see. I think art is just like that. I think that's pretty normal. Because I do get the same way. These things just, take a lot of effort. There's a lot of work to be done. Man, can't get the width consistent. Let's stop trying to do this in a single stroke. I've never been able to do that. I'll just try to guide it up. There we go. Up into here, and yeah, that looks okay. I think the line's still a little thin in a couple of places. I see. Well, I mean, I like to draw a lot of simple stuff too. I have a more minimalist style that I like a lot too. It's just not what I'm going for here. I get the feeling that the art for my game is going to be way simpler than this. I mean, could you imagine trying to animate this? It'd be hell. So... oh, it just depends on what you're going for. I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping things simple. And in fact, finding ways to make things look like things while paring down just every unnecessary detail, I think is also pretty cool. Let's see, a little bit too close there. Yeah. That's why I'm not going to. This is just a nice fashion illustration because I wanted to draw some nice clothes. So, the clothes are getting all the effort. I guess the window and the background's gonna get some, but... it's okay, you know, different types of drawings for different things. Okay, and the last one for this side. Yay! I think since all this is on a separate layer from the main trim layer, I probably will just go ahead and reshade everything here. Just get all that finished. And then, afterward, I can decide if I want to put some trim of the frills or not. I probably do. Not too thick. No, I think that's good. Okay. Over here! Halfway there! Actually, probably a little more than halfway, since that side is a little bit bigger than this side. And then I can get this all cleaned up and reshaded, and it'll be great. It's really good. Oh, thank you. I had fun designing this one. I'm drawing another VTuber here, so I do hope that she likes it too. Let's see, this one has a pretty juicy fold right there, so I think I'm gonna do something like this. Kinda cut it up a little. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, and that means I am going to have to adjust the trim on the frill part too, so it'll get a little bump right there as well. And up here. And then I just kind of want it to vanish into that fold a little bit. And then it can come out. I don't think it goes away completely, so we'll still see a little bit kind of through here. It's gonna look really weird until I shade it, but I think that this is accurate. Up like this. And something like that. I might have to work this one a little bit. Actually, you know what? I don't have to be doing that. I can just shade it now and get it right now. And that'll be fine. Okay, so that's roughly where the fold is. And then there's gonna be like another one over there that's gonna push this down a bit. The other ones aren't quite as fold heavy as this one. So I didn't have to do quite as much folding it over itself, but if I'm gonna have those big folds there, then I need to have the rest of the outfit respect that. Otherwise it'll look weird. Oh. Oh no. Poor little axolotl. I mean, I guess it's true. You probably don't want to eat suspicious brownies from strangers. That sounds like a bad idea. But still, poor little guy. Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. Now let's get this smoothed out and properly sinking into the fold there. With this kind of fold... No, it probably does go about that deep. I think this is fine. I think that is perfect. Okay. I think I'm gonna call that good. And the rest should be a little bit simpler because they are less foldy. So... there we go. Let's get this guy a little bit thinner. And add a second line. And I'll just keep going, man. It can take a little while, but that's okay. It'll look really nice once I'm done, and I'll be glad to have the unity between this and the rest of the picture. God, I remember just looking at this at the end of last stream when I started working on the trim, and I was like, oh no. Am I going to have to redo everything because it doesn't match with the skirt? And... kinda. I just decided I liked the pattern everywhere else, so I decided to redo the skirt instead, but yeah. Yeah, kinda. Alright. Just a few more, man. Alright, here we go. Look, drawing clothes is fantastic. I love drawing clothes. It's just, you know, as with everything, if you wanted to make it look good, you gotta draw all the things. I mean, this still isn't as bad as Frill Hell, when I had to draw all the frills. There were so many frills drawn that day. Let's see, is that about the right distance? I think so. About the right thickness. I don't know, it's looking a little bit thick. I feel like I've gotten thicker on every single one since doing this one. You know what, I'll just make this one a little thicker. Or maybe I should make the other ones a little thinner. Because I compared this one to the one up on the cape. Yeah, I gotta make the other ones a little thinner. Okay. I want them to be about the same size all the way through. So if they're a little thick, I gotta fix that. It's important. It is. Otherwise, it just won't look as nice. And with as long as it's taking just to do it in general, I want it to look good. Okay, just a couple more. They are just a little bit too thick. This one isn't quite as bad as the others. It just got a little thick near the end there. Look, it's important, okay? And I have a good comparison point right there to let me see when I'm getting it to about the right thickness. But it's important. I want it to be fairly consistent all the way through. Otherwise there's gonna be... it's gonna look lopsided. It's gonna be sad. I don't want to be sad. It's like, man, I've come this far. I better do it right. Yeah, that looks a little bit better, and then this guy... This guy is actually pretty dang close to okay, so I don't think I really need to adjust him too much. Yeah, I think that one's good. And then over here, I think this one's fine, but this one just ended up a little bit thick. It's what made me notice, so... Let's just get that a little bit better here. No, not exactly. I don't talk to myself quite as much when I'm drawing off stream. I do, you know, try to vocalize all the things that I'm thinking about and various things like that, but most of the time when I'm not streaming, I actually just don't think about it as hard. I will say that trying to talk does actually slow me down drawing-wise, because I have to think about what I'm actually doing in a way and then figure out how to translate that into words. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily natural, but it makes for a better stream, so I do it. It actually took me quite a while to kind of get used to it. Fortunately, I had a couple of friends that wanted to watch me draw for a bit, so I was able to practice with them before doing it for real. How's this gonna work? I kind of don't understand it myself, to be honest. I would call it more of a whim than anything, where I wanted to learn some puppet animation stuff to make character sprites in games, and basically all the tutorials for the kind of software there, I was initially looking at Live 2D. This model was not made in Live 2D, it was made in a open source alternative, but a lot of the techniques and stuff are similar between the software and Live 2D, so I looked at Live 2D tutorials for the most part, and most of the tutorials for that were for how to make VTuber models, since that's mostly what Live 2D is used for nowadays. And so I made one, and I thought it'd be kind of a shame not to use it. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll stream. And here I am. So I guess that was one of the main pushes, and I guess what made me kind of stick with it and keep doing it was just, I don't know, I kind of liked just sharing my art with the internet. Even though most of the time no one's here, it's fine. I think it's still fun. And now it's like everything I've been doing is just out there, and it's pretty cool. I like it. How is this gonna work? It's like... So this is gonna be this line here. How does that transition into here? It's on top. So we'd see the entirety of this line, I think. So this one will go all the way to the edge. God, I have to think about the perspective of this pane. It's okay. I got this. I think this actually needs to slant a bit more. Using Godot. I like using free and open source stuff when I can. Use that for pretty much everything. An open source thing is out there and it's pretty good. Oh no, you're fine. But yeah, if an open source is out there and it's pretty good, then I'm probably gonna use it. Okay, which means that there'll be nothing here. And don't worry, I mean, I'm gonna keep talking, and that might mean that I slide between answering questions and talking about a random thing that I'm doing right now. Don't worry about it. These things just gotta happen, it's fine. There we go. I think that is accurate. And then we get a little wiggle for all the folds and stuff. I think that's actually not a fold. I think that's just an incomplete shadow, but it's fine. It can still have the little wiggle. Little wiggles make everything better. It's like glitter. Okay. Well, yeah, I've been liking Godot so far. It's been doing everything that I need to do, so... I've never worked with a game engine before, so it's been interesting. Lots of little things to figure out, so this way I can talk to it properly. I always liken programming to talking with the spirits. You gotta figure out their language. It's fine. Okay, and that'll look good once I shade it properly. But that's the last one here. I think I'm gonna do the back before I go and do the rest of the shading there. That's you, right? Yeah, okay. Oh, hello there, Nameless. Thank you. Yeah, it's been going pretty well. Hopefully I can finish all the trim today and finally do my shading science. Yeah, in my case, I was just terrified of doing collision detection by myself. So, I decided I wasn't going to. I'm kind of interested in learning engines, though, because not only does it mean that I can steal other people's code more easily, I'm a very big fan of doing that, but it also means that hopefully in the future, once I get good and kind of understand it better, that it'll speed up my process for future games. This is the first game I'm making in Godot, so there's still a lot to learn. But in the future, I will hopefully understand, and I just won't have to code everything from scratch, and I won't have to reinvent the wheel for everything. And that is very appealing to me. So far, a journey's been worth. I will probably make all my future games in Godot as well. I actually have tried to code collision detection on my own, and it's really complicated. This was, you know, a really long time ago, before game engines were really a thing. I think Unity was fairly new when I was doing things. So. Oh, right. That's right. I forgot I did all this in one layer. I actually haven't found textures to be that bad. Oh no. Huh, what's so bad about them? Just placing them? Getting them to move in the right direction and relative to other things, or... There we go. Wonderful. Let's get the other stripe in. See, a little thicker, but not a lot. This one might actually be a little thick. Just a little. It's not that bad. Okay. Right about there. Had to think about that one a couple of times before I really got it to go down right. I do think that these will overlap ever so slightly, though. How did I get inspiration for my name? Yes, it is literally Planckera. And then I just smashed the words together. Because I thought it made for a nice sounding name, and a lot of science and space terms just feel very sterile, and didn't really suit the way my model looked, in my opinion. So, it was kind of hard to pick one, but yeah, I just smashed the two words together, and I thought that it sounded nice, and it looked nice. So, I went with that. I think you're one of, like, 3 people that has actually understood the reference, so congratulations. I see. Okay, yeah, I mean, understandable, especially if you're still learning. Images do complicate things, like tenfold. That's why a lot of my early games were text. Just text. Look, I think text-based games are fantastic as well. I doubt I'll ever do a fully text-based one with no images again. Just because since then I've gotten pretty good at actually drawing things. Alright, see you later, Nameless. Thanks for stopping by. And yes, I do indeed appreciate space. It's wonderful. More people should. It's really pretty. And full of glitter, and glitter makes everything better. But yes, images do complicate things like tenfold. But even now, I still actually play a lot of fully text-based games. I think I was talking about how I doubt I will ever make another just only text-based thing since I got good at drawing. And because now I really like putting art into things. Back then, I was not very good at drawing yet. So it was a little bit easier for me to just be okay with that, but I multi-stream to Twitch and YouTube. So some people are coming from YouTube chat. The chat on screen should have everyone's messages. So unfortunately, it's just a limitation of multi-streaming. But, you know, if I wasn't... yeah, it's like if I wasn't multi-streaming, I wouldn't have met you, so it's worked out well. Because before I was only streaming on YouTube. But yes, I'm kind of glad that I decided to do both. I've been able to see some nice people I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. Alright, now I can go back to correcting all the shading here. I think that one looks okay, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Do need to fix this highlight. Okay, and I'm gonna do the red part first. I will adjust the gold part once the red part is done. It's okay. Nice can have many different meanings. Okay, and then... did I get all the red parts? I think I did. Just double checking, make sure I didn't miss a spot. But yeah, looks good. So let's go on and do all the gold parts now. Get all those just that are in the light here. And in the dark here. Actually, I don't want it to be quite like that. I want it to be... I want there to be just a little light spot there. Just to make it a little more clear what's happening. And I missed a light spot here. There we go. Let's see. Okay, now over to this side. There are not going to be any light spots over here, but that's okay. I think I want to add just a little touch of shadow right here. Maybe not on that one. Yeah, and then I'll just go all the way through. Go back over everything. Make sure I don't miss any spots. But there we go. I think that's it for that part of the trim. Now... it's time to do the rest! Oh boy! Okay, is it? I don't know, I've been seeing it more commonly lately, but, yeah. I'm not sure how it happened, but it sure did. I like both a lot. It's a good time. So hopefully this means I'll be able to put some nice art in my game. It'll be great. It probably won't look like this, though, because this would be hell to animate. I would die. So, the stuff in my game probably going to be a bit simpler. Even the backgrounds, because those will probably have some animations, too. That's okay. I think it'll still be pretty, and I'm really looking forward to working on it. I just need to get the code a little further along before I'm ready to do any assets. So let's see. Where else do I want to put trim? Okay, so there's lots of places that I'm going to need to experiment on, and I'm realizing that maybe I shouldn't have fully deleted my trim layer when I knew I wouldn't be finishing it. Because now I don't remember all the places I planned to have trim and patterns. Note for future self, I guess. Okay, you know what? Do I want to do something similar with this guy here? Let's find out. I'm not sure if I do. So I'm gonna put it in really, really roughly just to see if I even like the way it looks. Because it might be just a little bit too much for an area that already has a lot of gold around it. Yeah, I think it looks better without. So, you know what? I'm actually happy about that, but I do think it looks better without. And then the other place I was debating is whether or not I wanted to put some on the top part of the cape here. So I'm gonna draw that really roughly too, because I don't know if I'll like it. So let's just see if that actually looks good or not. Oh no, that one actually does look really good. Okay, so I'll do there. And before I continue on, I kind of want to see how things would look if I like put some of the patterns on the frills. I already know that there's going to be some flower patterns on the legs here. I do have that planned. And I've also been debating if I want to do a similar thing on the arm. So I'm going to do the parts that I know first, I think. So that, yeah, well, I'll get the cape, and then I'll get the pattern that I plan to put on the leg. And those are the parts that I 100% know at this point. Yeah, I'm really happy with how the hair came out. At some point, I do plan to make the rest of the clothes as soft as her face and hair. I just haven't gotten there yet. I wanted to draw all of the clothes. This way I could do it all together. And so what I'm doing here is just kind of the basics before I can get into making it all look soft. So getting there. I just really wanted to finish the clothes basics first. Because otherwise I was afraid that I'd work really hard on one part, and it just wouldn't come together properly once I had it working for the entire picture. So, you know, just that kind of thing. But it's okay, you know, I'm actually getting really close to finally being done with the clothes. So, that's really exciting. That's why you see the stream title today is just me being very excited about potentially being able to do my science. Let's see. I want to make sure that the neck thing is going around her neck properly. It is. I thought it wasn't for a second because the light on her neck is really, really close in color to the background. That'll be something I fix later. That's why I haven't been worried about it, but I was worried that I missed something back there. But no, all is well. It is correct. The back of her neck is just very, very light. So what are you? You know, that's a good question. What are you? Oh, wait. No, that's right. Alright. Okay, I have to check this. What is that? Is that just part of the brooch? It is. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I'll paint back there. And grab that layer and delete. Okay, so now that won't look weird. Yeah, they're real close. That'll be something I fix later. I have no doubt that it'll be super easy to fix. So, right now I just have that bit of light correct. So, it should work out. I believe in myself. It's just not relevant to what I'm currently working on, so I'm not really worrying about it. It will be at some point, though. Later, it'll be a problem for future me. It's all good. Oh yeah, I have to admit that staring at that has been a thing that's bothered me somewhat. So... But, you know, I just tell my brain to ignore it, and we'll worry about it later. It'll be great. Okay, so how is this going to interact with that fold? What is this fold doing? I think it's just going down like this. And then it'll gradually kind of turn in over here. And I think that's how it's sitting on her shoulder. I want to slant it just a little bit. That is a little bit sharp of an angle, I think. There we go. So a lot of this stuff is going to look a bit weird until I shade it properly, which I'm not doing right now. That'll come later. But this is fine for now. So let's see here. It's like the only reason I shaded the dress is because it was all in a different layer, and I didn't really want to have to come back and find that layer later. So now we got that, and the only other part that I know for sure is the patterns I have planned for the legs. So let's go draw them. They're going to be a little bit different. So I'm just picturing it in my brain before I start actually drawing. I kind of have most of the things on this outfit modeled after this flower here. So it's gonna look kind of like that. Let's see. Yeah, something like that, just better. And a little bit more curly at the top. There we go. I want wider circles. I don't want it to be super tight. Okay, so something like that, and then here I start getting the petals. I'm gonna do this on a separate layer because I am scared, and I'm also gonna do it in hot pink, so that this way I can see the difference, and then I'll paint it the right color later. So we're just gonna have the little petal shapes here. In the middle, they are a little bit more rose-shaped, and then on the outside they get the little, I don't know, a dent in them. I'm just gonna stare at it for a second, remind myself how the shapes work. So we're gonna have this as the center point, and then it's gonna start wrapping around there. So kind of like that, and go from there. I'm just gonna sketch it out roughly, and then I'll make it nice a little bit later. And slowly but surely, it'll start looking the way I want. Slowly, slowly. Okay. Up and around. And all of these are going to be the same color at the end, so I do want to make sure that it'll look good against the gold part that I have there already. Okay, so we'll get something like this, and the rest of it is not going to be there. You know, I'm going to erase a bunch of that. So that'll be fine. And we just do it again down here. I'll probably end up copying and pasting a lot of this for the other leg. Since it is just so far behind the other one that I don't think I have to take a bunch of time to draw both if I don't want to. And then I'm hopeful that, you know, in theory, that this will look pretty good once I actually finish it. I know, I think it looks pretty alright. I think there's potential here. You gotta make it look nice. And then if I go back to the original, I can kinda get some of the other swirly patterns that have been kinda sitting in my head for a while. Some of them I want to be a little thinner. And it's still going to be a little bit rough for a bit. But that's how all art starts. It always starts very rough. And then it gets refined as you go. And I do think I'm going to want these petal lines to be a lot thinner than they currently are. But that'll be another thing I adjust when it's kind of time to clean everything up a little bit more. It really is that old adage of just make it exist, you can make it look good later. Just one step at a time. I actually like doing patterns. They take a little while, they can be a little bit tedious sometimes, but man, do they make everything look really nice by the time you finish it. I don't need any more out there. I can draw them if it would help me picture the rest. I don't think I need to. Okay, and then I'm kind of interested in a couple of smaller ones. Maybe ones that just haven't fully bloomed yet or something. Hello there, Zany. Welcome. And maybe one over here. I think I'll just let that one be a little guy. And you know what? I think that's actually probably going to be fine. I might add a little more swirly patterns to it. Oh, thank you. Drew and rigged it myself. Oh, thank you. I've been working pretty hard on this one, too. This one has taken me a while. But I like the way it's turning out. I think it's going pretty well. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do plan to make things a little bit softer at some point. Once I finish off the rest of the clothes here. But right now, it's pattern time. everything will kind of end up matching the hair and the face. Once, you know, the time is right. You know, I am honored to be a sleep aid. So, thank you. Thank you. Right now, I'm just kind of deciding how I want this pattern to swirl around. I think I might have too many flowers, honestly. So I'm kind of feeling that out. Okay, and if I feel like I have too many flowers, you know what I think I can do? Because I do want one kind of coming around the leg here. It'll make it look a little bit more like it's wrapped around. I'll just move this guy over here a little bit. And we'll only see a little bit of the petals. And I can do the same thing for the little bit of trim. Or the stem part kind of wrapping there. Actually, I guess we can just get rid of it entirely. Yeah, that feels a little bit more balanced. And I'll bring this guy here over a little bit too, and maybe a little bit down. Oh, wrong layer. See, this is why I wanted to kind of draw everything out first. Just, you know, draw it all roughly. Just to get an idea of where everything had to go. So you can see the stem has to move quite a lot, so I might actually let him come out just a little bit lower then. Oh. There we go. Drop my pen. No, I like this way. Okay. And how's this looking so far? And then if I took... this part, and we just brought it over here. Which part of it do I like? I think I'll use this part. Okay, and then we took this part and brought it over here. I think I'll just use this little flower. And let me actually shade some of this just to make sure I like it. It'll be a little bit easier to tell if it's good or not, if it's all matching up with how everything else is shaded. I don't want to trim anything just yet, just because I might have to move things around a little bit still. But I can get some of the basic stuff in right now. Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to draw a nice fancy outfit. Fancy stuff is nice. I might draw a few more swirls, but yeah, I think it's so far so good. Let's see, where do I think? Is it a commission? Nah, this is just some fan art of a VTuber I like. It's Katya Sable. I think she's great. Okay. I think that level of swirliness and flowers is good, though. I do want to make them a little bit thorny, like I was doing on this side. Let me see, does the thing have leaves? Yeah, it's got a few leaves. I guess those are probably supposed to be more leaves than thorns, but I like the idea of there being some thorns. I think it's perfect. So, I actually want to go check a little bit more of a zoomed in reference real quick. Give me just a moment. Oh yeah, there are leaves and thorns. Perfect. Okay, so I get everything I want. Wonderful. But I think I'm gonna start cleaning this up. Yeah. So let's do that. How am I gonna do that? That's a good question. Okay, first things first, I think I like the general shape and where everything is. So I actually am gonna cull everything that should be outside now. So let's get rid of everything not on the legs. And you should go away too. Okay. And then from there... I'm debating, do I want to start with the flowers or do I want to start with the swirls? I think I want to start with the flowers because I think what I'm gonna do is on the places where the flowers and the swirls overlap, I'm going to erase the swirls actually. And just for the sake of my own sanity, I'm gonna make all of this a consistent color. So we're getting rid of my rough shading just to make sure I liked where everything was. Alright. So I think I know roughly the thickness I want here. I want these to be fairly thin and delicate. So I think I'm gonna go for this level of line thickness. I want this to look like, I don't know, very soft little flowers. That is the hope here. And do I have the layer locked? I sure do. I definitely don't want it locked right now. Okay. And then I'll just gradually shape each of these petals until they are looking the way I want them to. And I don't mind if I kind of break things as I work. It's kind of necessary to be able to get it all to work out. Maybe not that thin. And I actually like the idea of the bases being just a little bit thicker. Kind of have it replicate the look of shadows. But, yep, time to do the little bit where I get the line width consistent and everything kind of figured out. It takes a little while, but, you know, it always looks pretty nice. So we're back into the kind of slow, slightly tedious parts again. After having a nice little burst of figuring things out. But every step of this is totally necessary. And it is necessary to give it all the time that it needs, because otherwise it'll just look bad, and that would just be unfortunate, so... And as long as I want it to exist, I do have to completely draw it. There's no real way to cheat nice-looking patterns. Some people use brushes, but I don't. I draw my lace by hand. I actually don't think I could even get this particular pattern that I'm drawing right now looking good in a brush. There's some that I definitely could, but I don't think this is one. Fortunately, it's a small area, so it shouldn't be that long. I hope. Okay. Oh yeah, I think it's all come together pretty well, and this one actually should not be on this leg. I want to erase that real quick. Because that's going to be important to decide if I want to add a few more swirly parts onto... Actually, I think you... No, you're not supposed to be on this leg. There we go. Yeah, I might need some more flowers there. I'll see how it looks after I finish rendering the ones on the front leg. Rendering is always something interesting. It's always funny for me because there's very little distinction for me between sketching and rendering, because all I really do to finish off my pictures is basically clean up my sketch. I draw in blobs of color and shapes and then refine them to get the general shape that I want. So the distinction between sketch and render is pretty small. But I can always tell when I'm firmly in rendering stage, because there's not as much to think about. And I can kind of turn off my brain. It always feels like for the first, I don't know, 10% of the drawing, that I am just all over the place, trying to figure out where everything is going to go, and all that good stuff. But as it continues, as I get further and further along, that just becomes less true. And frankly, when doing stuff like this, it's like when I'm in the early stages of drawing, it can be really hard to even draw for like 3 or 4 hours at a whack. Oftentimes I need a bit of a break just because, there's a lot going on, a lot of thought that's going into everything. And it makes your brain tired. But once I get into rendering stage, once I'm at this point where I'm just kind of cleaning up the stuff that I've already drawn, once I'm just worried about line width and little things like that, I can draw for like 16 hours. And it's not a problem. I mean, I probably can't because I need to eat. And various things like that. I have bodily functions that need to be attended to, unfortunately. But in terms of the mental energy, it's like, yeah, it's really nothing. I don't like quite how big this gap is. It's really not much at all, and I am definitely in the place where everything is super brain dead. And I can just kind of go. I ended up making a lot of these petals a little bit more square than I really wanted to. So I'm kind of adjusting that too and making sure that the petals are very round. Petals on her flower are quite round. I think my desire to make them a little bit more square there was just because, as a person, Katya strikes me as a person that will use more angular shapes. So I like to use more angular shapes when I can. But no, the flower petals need to be round. She's just an angular type person. Maybe it sounds a little bit funny to say, but when it comes to designing characters and whatnot, the kind of shapes that you use can actually tell you a lot. Shape language, very much a thing. Very interesting thing, in fact. I like it a lot. Okay, I think that one's good. I think I'll get this little one on the side here now. Let's see. Let me find the legs again. This way I can make sure that it's firmly inside. There we go. And you know what? I think I'm just gonna keep my selection. And I'll draw from here. we go. This way, I won't go outside, and I can just get that guy while I'm here. I kind of like drawing flowers. Certain ones can take a while. I remember for a Christmas gift that I was drawing someone, I drew an entire field of flowers. And a large part of it was in the foreground, so I kind of had to detail every single one, and it took me like, probably like 2 weeks to actually draw it all. It took a long time, but it looked really nice, so it was worth it. I say that a lot, but this is why I can't draw fast, because I like doing all these little things. And making a bunch of little things that look really nice. And they're all very time-consuming. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, because at one point I wanted to try to draw comics, but it is just so antithetical to how I draw things, and I could not draw things fast enough. And I've been thinking for a while about why that is, and it just really comes down to... I mean, look at the stuff I draw. Do you think I could draw 20 panels in a week like this? Like, no way. Not happening. Maybe someday I will learn how to draw faster, but I already know that if I do, it's gonna be because I learned ways to not draw as much. And that makes me a little bit sad, so... I might just mostly stick with illustrations and maybe the occasional puppet animation. You know, I'll, streamers starting soon screens and stuff made in, like, Live 2D and the like. I don't know. Choices are hard. Why do nice little patterns like this have to look so good? It would save me a lot of trouble if they just look bad. But I keep drawing them because I just really love the way they look. And even though I complain sometimes, I do enjoy drawing them. It is why I keep doing it. It is indeed why I keep doing it. And I like how this one is coming out now. Just, falling asleep. There we go. But just, watching everything kinda coming together as I just continually start making all the lines the right width and getting all those things the way that I want them to be. Let's see, I think you are cutting a little bit too deep, too. Let's make it just a little bit shallower there. Is there anything else? I mean, there's gotta be more lace later. Like, a lot more. I mean, look at her sleeves. Or cape. There's gotta be a lot. Especially on this side. But this side is actually pretty close to done, so... clothes-wise, I should say. So at the very least, there won't be any more just small details there. But, I mean, the next step here, once I finish all the patterns, which I think I should be able to finish in time. Well, we'll see how it goes. Is just going to be me doing some experiments to see if I can make the shading here look a little bit softer. So this way it matches up a little bit better with her face and stuff. Let's see, I don't like that one, so let's do it like this instead. We'll let this guy kind of come out here. And this will go out like that. Yeah, that's better. But yeah, I'm very hopeful that once it comes time to make everything look nice and soft, that it'll match up with her hair and face and it'll just look really good. I have been looking forward to doing that for a long time, but there has been lots of things to draw, so... So, I gotta draw the things. But they are almost drawn, and I'm very excited. So, very, very excited. What was I even doing right there? You know, that's a good question. Okay. It looks like this now. Okay. I guess this petal will be the top one. And then I can go from there and just smooth it all out. Oh yeah, I need to cull the parts that are off the leg there. There we go. And let's see, you can see for this pattern, unlike some of the other line-based bits of trim that I did earlier, I'm not really paying attention to the folds for this one. And that's normal. I have found that with the patterns specifically, you actually don't really have to do that. Just having it shaded properly will still give the illusion that it is wrapping around the folds in the leg properly. So, you can just kind of cheese it there. It's fantastic. So, I don't have to work quite as hard. And I still get good results. Life is good. Let's see, I think I'm gonna make this side a little bit thinner here. Just to kind of keep it similar sized to what's going on the other side there. That guy's definitely gonna have to change his angle, but that's fine. I can do that. It's always kind of fun to see just how much better everything looks as I gradually make the... as I gradually clean it all up. So I do feel like it's all kind of coming together. I like keeping everything really neat. I've never been much of a messy drawer. I always want to clean it up. Just can't help myself. Okay, we only got a couple more petals left on this one. And only a couple more flowers after that. And then I can get into the swirly lines. You know, like I said, I try not to complain. Because complaining makes it sound like I'm having a bad time. But I assure you, I am not. Oh, man. Oh, man. Phew. Okay, let's see, where was I? Had to stretch my hand a second. When, drawing small lines like this, I tend to get little hand cramps. But yeah, complaining can make it sound like I'm not having a good time, but no. It's great, it's just... It is a little tedious. But art is just like that sometimes, and I don't really consider it a problem. It's just something that has to be done. If you want the effect like this, which I do, so... It will be done. Always. And just finishing off the last little bits to get the line thickness the way that I want it. And I think this is going to be the last petal for this one. Gonna make this side a little bit wider to, once again, kind of match what's going on the other side a little bit better. Let them be a little bit more symmetrical. The initial bit was drawn really rough and really fast, so... Actually, you know what, before I add a little petal going off screen there, I think I might need one right here too, for the record. But, I'll finish this one first. And indeed, just that little sketch that I did there was like, oh yeah, that looks way better. Let's do it like that. But let's finish this little petal first. And then I can worry about the rest. Okay. Alright, and I think that looks pretty good, so let's get this petal that I think has to go off screen here. And then I think I want another one right here, kind of in between these two. It's looking a little lonely. I can kind of take my time drawing it, unlike when I was doing the sketch, because I just wanted to get it down really fast. So that this way I could make sure that, one, I liked the way it looked, and two, that I was putting in the, okay. That I was, putting them all in the right place. I wanted to make sure that they were in good spots before I started rendering them like this. Like, can you imagine if I did all this, and then I zoomed out and I was like, huh, there are too many, the cluster of flower right here is too big. I need to move things around a little. That would be awful, because I'd have to redo it all. So that's why I wanted to do it just quick and dirty at first. I find it to be pretty important to do it in that order. Otherwise, you know, when I was a baby artist, oftentimes I didn't, and then I'd have to redo large swaths of things, and it'd be very sad. Just getting too stuck on details too early. Happened all the time, and it was terrible. It was an important lesson learned through much pain. It's okay. Pain is a good teacher. Unfortunately, this flower is small, and it looks like it doesn't even have a lot of the bigger petals yet. I think I just wanted to keep it as a smaller little blossom here. We just have a little guy with less area to render, and I don't like the angle of this petal at all. I'm gonna redraw it. There we go. And I'm not gonna shade things yet. I think I'm just gonna shade all the trim together. That is incidentally why I haven't shaded the trim anywhere else yet, except the skirt. The skirt is slightly different. But yeah, I figure I'll just do it all at the end. I'm not quite sure how much left there is to draw, and where else I want to put little lines and various little things. But we'll find out. I do get the feeling that I will be putting some on the frills, though. I tried it out on the mask she's holding, and I thought it looked really good. So I'm gonna try it on the rest of the frills, too. Let's go ahead and get those last couple of petals there. And then, unless I change my mind on the back leg a little bit, there is only 2 more flowers left to draw. I'll be free soon! Soon! Okay, so we got this little guy here. And that little guy there. And that's it. And actually, I do kind of think that this one needs just a little bit more, but I think... Oh, okay, I'll do that when it comes time to draw the back leg. Because that's right, I forgot that I had the front leg selected right now. So, okay, I'll finish what I'm doing here. I gotta make some of those back petals look nicer. They just need to be relocated, mostly. I don't think I can get them to look good where they currently are. And up and down and all around. Up here. I think I'll put this one like that. There we go. That already looks like 100 times better. Okay, so now I can get this little guy back here. And this little guy back here. Like I said, they just needed to be relocated a little bit. They're fine. And then this guy going over here and up here. And then like this. And let's see, I think I want another one just right here. But otherwise, I think that one's good. So now I can do some stuff on the back leg. And I was planning on just doing a little thing like this. Where we see one petal from what will probably be a larger flower. Over, kind of going off screen there. I guess we see 2. It looks better with the second one. He's got to have a friend, I suppose. There we go. And now I can just get this one. And this is the last flower. And I will be free. From flower parts, at least. I still have to draw the vines that I want. Still gotta draw those, but it's okay. The first step is almost done. Okay, I think that one actually looks fine like that. But I will need another petal coming up here if I want to have that kind of shape. Which I think I do, so I will do that. Alright. Let's see. I don't like where that one is, though. This one I think needs to be a little bit more like that. And I'll clean up the side of the leg once I'm done with the rest. Okay. Looking pretty good. Let's see, are your lines a little thick? I think they are, just a little bit. They need to be delicate. It'll make the flower look a little bit softer. Okay, there we go. Alright. And with that, I think I can remove the bits that are off there. And I think we have flowers! Yay! Oh my god. Do they look good? I think they look good. Let's turn the vines on. I think there. Okay. So once again, I'm gonna make him a solid color. Just for the sake of my own sanity. And then from there, I think I'll select the front leg again. This way I can work on the front and the back leg independently. I think that'll make my life a little bit easier. So, where are you? There you are. So I don't want this one bleeding in to over here. And then the way I plan to do this is these guys will never overlap a flower. I do like the variable width thing I've got going on here. I think that looks really good. So I'm going to kind of keep that. Oh, I have the layer lock, don't I? Sure do. Okay. So now I just gotta clean this. Make sure I have all my line widths the way I want them. And I gotta be very particular about this. It's important, okay? Alright. Yeah, I think I'll draw it at like 50% opacity for now. Just to make it easier to see which areas I need to erase for the sake of the flowers. But I can still see the lines well enough to know where they have to be adjusted, I think. So this should be okay. And, you know, I'll just very gradually start kind of smoothing them out and getting all the widths the way that I want them to be. I think the line width here is especially important, so I'm paying very careful attention to it. Don't want to skimp out. It can be easy to get lazy, especially since I'm near the end. But I can't let myself get lazy, because then it'll look bad, and that would just be sad. Especially after everything that I've done so far. Gotta keep the focus until the end. But at the very least, I think that this is gonna be the hardest part of the remaining bit, so once I get it, it'll be golden. Just reminding myself that. Constantly. Just to stop myself from getting lazy. Okay, and I think once I fix this line, all will be well. And then I can decide if I want a couple more swirly lines. So I'm just gonna pay attention to the front leg right now. How is that? That is pretty good. Okay, so let's go draw the leaves and the thorns now. Let's see, let me go reference what the thorns look like again. They were like long and thin, yeah. What direction do they go? Do they point toward the flower or away from it? Looks like it's variable. I kind of like them going towards the flowers, so I'm gonna draw it like that. And we're just gonna get little things like this. And then I just have to go back in and make them pointy. No, it's just like what I said. I don't want to skimp out on the details here. Can't let myself get lazy. If I want the thorns to exist, I have to draw them. Always. I'll draw them a little bit smaller on the thinner vines. But everyone will get some. No one will be left out. And after this, I just need to draw a few leaves here and there. But I actually do consider the thorns a very important part. So I want them to be nice and noticeable. Katya being a little thorny is just very appropriate, I think. There we go. And then through here. I don't think that one needs any more, and I think this one only needs the one since it's mostly going off the leg there. I think here, I actually just want it to be a leaf. So let's figure out what I want the leaves to look like. I want them to be noticeable as leaves instead of thorns. So I think I'll do a little pattern like that. But I still want to finish most of the thorns before I do too many leaves. And I've almost run down the length here. I think I've gotten all the ones up here already. Yep, didn't miss any. Excellent. Did I miss a spot there? I sure did. Okay. And I've been trying to make sure that I leave room for leaves. I do want a couple. Not very many, but I do want a couple. I think this is going to be the only thorn there. Okay. Now I can kind of decide where I want to put some leaves. I think I want one kind of coming up here. I can just use it for areas that feel a little bit empty or a little bit sterile in some way. I want the stem to be going the other way. Here we go. Okay, and then maybe right here. Just add a little touch of fanciness here and there. I already think this is pretty fancy, so I probably don't have to try too hard. No, I still don't like that shape. Come on, buddy, work with me. Don't you want to exist? I know you do. Belief. Thank you. Okay. We'll put just a little guy over here. Just a little one. I don't want that one to be too big. And I think that's good. So I think that's where I'll leave it. I think it looks pretty good. So, on to the other side. Let's get her back leg. Okay, here goes nothing. This guy shouldn't exist at all. He's from the front leg. Just going to erase everything underneath the petals. I'm going to relocate that line. I do want him there, just, you know, a little bit higher. Okay, and now I can just draw out the rest. In theory. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. I don't quite like the way this part overlaps the petals, so I'm going to change that just a little. And fortunately, there's way less leg here, so I have less patterns to draw. I get to have a little bit of an easier time. It's a good day! Okay. So, let's see here. Where was I? I want to thicken that guy up a little bit. I think I want to thin out right there. Okay, hold on. I missed a spot in the thorn over here. I have to fix it. I don't think anybody will ever notice the little gap there, but it was bothering me, okay? Alright, back to what I was doing. Okay, and I already think that this side looks pretty good, so I'm going to start on the thorns. Alright, I was doing thorns, not leaves. Yeah, I do want that to be a thorn, not a leaf. I just kind of went on autopilot, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do. How could this happen? Okay, so we'll get some tiny little thorns for this guy. Just some tiny ones. And then up here. And around here. Tiny little ones for this guy and this guy. And then leaves. Let's see, where do I want the leaves? I don't think this one needs as many leaves. I'll give it a few just because it has to have a couple in order to make it look like the other side. But I actually don't really think this side needs very many leaves at all. I might even just imply that there's one coming from off her leg over here. Okay, and I think we're good. And we got leg pattern. Hell yeah. Okay. Now I think I'm gonna go do the trim on the mask. Because I think that'll determine whether or not I put trim on the rest of the frills. I'm still not sure if I want to. Because one of the ideas that I have is basically, doing something like this. Where we'd plop some trim kind of around on the frills like this. I'll just do it quickly here just so I can see if I like it. Because I don't know, I'm not convinced that I will. And I'm only going to do it on the top ones here. I'm not going to try to do it for the rest just yet. And I'm pretty sure I'm not necessarily putting all that in the right spot, but... yeah, I think it might be a little bit too much gold, honestly. Okay, I don't actually like it very much. I am relieved, if I'm being honest, but... maybe it sounds bad to say it like that. Anyway, I want to go look at the mask here. Where did I put it? There it is. Okay. So I had trim, and I thought that it looked pretty okay on the mask. Just because there was considerably less gold in that area. But if I'm not going to put it on the rest of the frills, I really do think it's too much gold for down here. I think those should stay black. Yeah, if I'm not going to do it on the rest, I might not do it there either. How does it look without it? I'm on the wrong layer. Does everything still look balanced? Does it look fine? Let me go back and forth. Because I wouldn't want to do it on one or the other, and I didn't like the gold on these frills either. So, I don't know, it seems like... I do kind of like it with, but I hate it everywhere else, and I want to keep things relatively consistent. Ooh. Ooh. Well. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do it without. And I'll just, put special care onto the gold parts that will be on the mask. Okay, there we go. My tablet stopped responding for a second there. That was scary. Okay. Let's continue. We'll have a thin line on the top, going all the way around. As you can see, I'm not putting this one right on the edge. I'm giving it a little bit of space to show the thickness of the mask. Just gonna take it carefully. And I'll have to go over this one more time just to make sure that I do get the distance away from the edge right all the way around. Yeah, with the way this is curving, I don't need to have that same gap here. Actually, for this part, I should just select the mask layer so that this way it doesn't try to draw into the frills. There we go. Well, I'll worry about the line width and stuff in a second. I'm gonna try to keep it pretty good. But you can see my lines are a little bit hairy. So I will have to fix them. Let's just get everything where they belong first. And then I can make it all look good. So we're gonna go down the side here. And then I want some around the eyes. Same idea. Where you can see I have a little bit going right through there to show the thickness around the eye socket. So I don't want to go quite to the edge. Okay. Just like that. And then around here too, we don't see much of the top. So I can go right onto the edge here. And then there should be like a second pair. Much like the rest. And unfortunately, the way I drew this is a little awkward. Let's see if I can make it work. I think that's probably fine. And then before I clean this up, I want to zoom out and make sure that I like the way it all looks. And then I can smooth out the lines just a little bit more. They're not the worst I've done. But I do want to make sure that it is all nice and good. And then I want to have a hint of the flower here on the forehead. So I'll draw the start of the petals and stuff that I was doing out there, and something like that, basically. So how's that look? I think that looks pretty good. Keep it pretty simple. Nice and pointy. Okay, let's see. Herp-a-derp. Yeah, I think I'll just smooth that out, and that should be good there. Let's see. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of deciding other places I want trim. I was considering putting the flower pattern on the arm, but looking at it, I think it might be too much, so I'll probably just, you know, maybe do a little bit, but keep it a little bit simpler. I think I might do something a little bit, flower shaped for the actual cuff shape there, instead of just leaving them kind of round like they currently are. And I might put a little bit around this, I don't know what you call that, but the thing where the buttons are. But otherwise, I think that should do it. Oh yeah, there has to be a little bit of flower pattern out the back of the cape. We're not going to see very much of it because it's on the back of the cape. We do not see the back of the cape. And I'll probably add a little trim on the bottom there. Oh yeah, that also reminds me that there's a gap there that shouldn't be there, but I forgot about him. Okay. Yeah, I think all that should look pretty good. So let's go in and clean this up. Fortunately, not much to clean. Should be nice and easy. It'll be nice to have an easy part after all that. Because, oh man, that pattern was a lot. It took me a while. And it's looking like I might not have a lot of time for science, and I'm a little bit sad, but that's okay. We'll do all the science next time. Oh, next stream's gonna be good. So excited. Just because I do have to tell myself, no, don't rush, just so you can do the part that you really want to do. We gotta make sure everything looks good. Because it'll be really, really hard to go back and fix things after you start blending things together. So no, gotta get the solid foundations here. It's really important, okay, brain? Don't panic. It'll be fine. I'm gonna make this line a lot thinner. I do think it should be there, but it needs to be... Well, actually, should it be? At this angle, maybe we don't see it. And that's why I was having so much trouble getting it to fit in there. Okay, I'll erase it for now. And then I'm gonna go do the parts around the eyes. I think that this eye is looking good. So if I can make this eye look like this one, I think I'll be golden. Okay. So let's see what we got here. And I'll see if I like that. What is... Okay, that's part of the window. That's right. Alright. I'm not sure if I'd call my layers organized, but I do make a point of naming them. Just because otherwise I will never find them again. I already have enough trouble finding my layers when they start getting a lot. So I just make sure to name them so I can find them again in the future. Because hey, there was a time when I didn't do that, and I had a bad time as I started using more layers. When I was a baby artist, I actually drew all in one layer. So once I started learning how to use them proper, yeah, naming became important. It saves me a lot of time in the long run, because it takes like 3 seconds to name them. But when I'm hunting around for a specific layer, that can take minutes, especially if they're not named. Alright. I'm just trying to make sure that the line width is pretty consistent over there. I guess I'll go ahead and get this side as well before I go in and get the eye there. I don't think I want to do the flower until I have both eyes good, just because I might want to change some things up over there until it happens. Alright, I need to select the layer again just to make sure I'm not digging into my frills. There we go, and now I don't have to worry about accidentally coloring on the black spot there. And I think I want this line to just be ever so slightly thinner than the top line. Since this is kind of receding into the background, it'll make the line look a little thinner. But over here, this line should be about the same as this one. And the distance should be about the same from here to here. And I think these two should actually be a little bit closer to each other than here to here. So let me draw that a little more properly. Since this part of the mask is kind of receding into the background. That should be a little bit more accurate. Okay, and down here. Let's see. Oh, thank you. For me, it's not hard to be patient. I always find it harder to start something than it is to finish something. But it does take a while sometimes. It's okay. I think it's worth it. I really like the way it looks. But thank you. I work pretty hard on my pictures. I like them a lot. And I do like drawing clothes, and this one is largely fashion illustration. This is more about the design I put together than anything else. Alright. Now I think I can get the bottom here, and I'm once again comparing it to the top. Oh, man. But, at the very least, I do think I will be able to finish all the trim today. There isn't that much left. I think I'll be able to shade it, too. I might have to force myself to hold off on science, though. Someday I'll be able to make all this shading nice and soft like her face and hair. That'll be a good day. Okay. So I've kind of gone around there like I wanted. Being very particular about widths again. There. And now I can kind of finish off the eye here. And you know what I think I'll do? I think I'll add just a tiny little flower petal coming off the edge here. Yeah. Just a little one. Just a little one. I don't think it has to be big. There we go. Okay. Now I can try to figure out this side. So I can kind of compare the width of this eye to this eye and make sure that they're consistent. And this will determine whether or not I think we see the equivalent of this line on this side. Increasingly, I don't think we actually do. So I think that line will end up going over there, and this one will just head all the way to the edge too. And maybe we see a small sliver of it like this. I think that looks right, actually. Yeah, that's roughly what I did for the face and the hair. I ended up doing that first because I like shading the head early. I like it when the character is able to look back at me while I'm working on the rest. It motivates me to finish it. So I always ended up doing the face really early. And that is basically what I did. Lots and lots of airbrush shenanigans. It worked really well. So I just need to figure out how to do the same for the clothes and figure out which edges should be hard, which ones should be soft, and various things like that. It's gonna be a fun time. Hello there, Crafty Kai. Welcome back. Okay. So now I can just get the forehead petals. And I'm gonna keep it simple since it is covered by her hand. I see. Well, I'm glad you were able to stop by. Oh man, that sounds rough. Good luck. Okay, and I think that's fine. Well, maybe I want to make the line just a little bit thinner on those. Let's make these just a little bit nicer here. Just a little. But yeah, there we go. And there we go. I think that is the mask. So, back to the regular trim layer. I think I just want a little bit going down this. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it. Just trying to get it in as close to a single stroke as I can to save myself some hassle. But yeah, I think I just want to do something like this. How do I feel about that? Oh yeah, that's quite good. I don't know, do I want something flowery coming off of it too? Let's add a little bit of swirl, we'll add a little bit of flower. It'll be great. I don't know if I'm gonna like this, so I don't want to work too hard on it. Actually, yeah, I really like it. So cool. I guess I'm drawing more flower pattern. I don't know if I should be happy or not. Oh well. The sacrifices you make to make things look good. Alright. Before I do that, I kind of want to do the little experiment I wanted to try where I add a little bit of the flower shape to the edge of the cuffs instead of just making them round at the bottom. Does this look good? Oh yeah, I think that looks really good. Does it? Do I agree when I'm zoomed out? Hell yeah, I do. Okay, so that's actually going to take a little bit more effort because this layer is clipped to the layer below, so I gotta go find that layer. Here it is. And I'm gonna have to go color in the backside here. And just add this little shape to it. It won't be that bad, though. There we go. And now I can go paint the rest of it in gold. Oh, I never merged those. I should do that. Okay. Oops. Oh no. Okay, there we go. So this will make a bit more sense once I shade it. You know, it's almost time for that, so maybe I should just do a little bit right now. Just because this has been bothering me. I told myself, you know, deal with it. It'll motivate you to finish it, but now I kind of want to see how this looks when it's actually, like, put together properly. So let's do that. It looks like I'll have to clean up the edges a little bit, but I can do that. Yeah, and I do like that, so I'll do the same on the other side here. We'll just put little petal pattern around it here. Makes it look a little frillier. And everybody knows that frillier is better. It's just the rules. Not gonna be quite as visible on this side, but that's fine. Yeah, I like that. So we'll go with that pattern, and then I can get all the shading on there, right? I guess I should clean up the edges like I was just talking about before I move on. Okay, and this will kind of inform the shape I want to use for the rest of this. So let's get that. I'll let this side kind of stick out a little bit more. And it'll be painted gold once I go back to the original layer. But, you know, one step at a time here. I don't know, I just wasn't really satisfied with the relative pointiness of things. Okay, there we go. And then once I add, like, there's gonna be some trim on the trim here. We're gonna have a little bit of trimception. And I think once that's on there, it'll all kinda come together. Because there's gonna be a little bit of white trim around the cuff here, but I don't want to draw it yet. I want to get the gold parts good everywhere before I do that. Okay. So there we go. That's like that now. I think that all works. That should look pretty good once I actually shade it right. So, back down here, I guess. And I will go and clean up these lines first. I want to make sure that they're in the right spot. Yeah, they are. We're good. So I just gotta clean up the line a little bit and find the buttons and remove them. I think I'm gonna do that after I do my little swirly patterns, though. Maybe not that much. Let me see. How do I want to do this? And I want it to be roughly symmetrical. Just very roughly. Very, very roughly. Okay. This is another thing that I think will look pretty alright once I actually shade things, and I think that's sufficient for complication. So, once again, I think I'm gonna do the flower on a different layer. I'll use a different color too. But there will be flowers. Because of course there will be. I can't do anything simple. Never. It's not allowed. Okay. It's okay. The flowers look nice. It's fine. This isn't even close to the most flowers I've ever drawn in one picture. Not even close. Alright. That's okay. I don't mind. Lurkers are great. Don't feel obligated to chat. Always happy to just have people here listening. It's all good. Okay. This time I'm drawing it a little bit neater so that I don't have to clean it up quite as much. Last time I wasn't quite sure if I was gonna like it, but now I'm explicitly trying to follow the pattern on the other side, so I already know roughly how it'll look. I can see it in my head. So there's no point in being super messy about it. That would just create more work at this point. So I will try to be a little bit neater here. And I think one more layer thereabouts. And that should do it. And then I think I'll just take the same one and move it to the other side. Handle the other side. Okay. So something like that. And I want to clean up just a few of the lines here, because a couple of them got a little bit thick. But otherwise, I think this looks pretty good. So I'll start cleaning up the lines here, just because none of them should overlap there. Actually, before I do, I want to move this guy just a little bit to the left, just so he doesn't overlap this line in a weird way, like he did before. Oh no. There we go. Okay. This will. Oh yeah, that's right. This flower has little stamen coming off. I should draw those too. I'm gonna have to go back and do the legs to get those back in there, but that won't be too bad. And I'm just gonna draw on top of the hand for now. I will go back and fix everything at the end here. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Let's go add them. I think that they'll look nice, and they'll add a little bit to the swirliness of it all. I don't think these little guys that are just like supposed to be little buds will get any. I'll save it for the ones that are like in full bloom. Let's see. I'm gonna select the legs just so that this way I don't have to worry about coloring outside the lines. Where are my legs? Where did I put my legs? There they are. Okay. Actually, start with the front. How did you get so messy? Why did I not refine that petal right here? I let myself get lazy. How terrible. Shouldn't let that happen. That's just silly. There we go. Easy fix. Okay, and then maybe one going out there. And this guy. This guy needs some. Not a lot. He's mostly going off the leg. Okay. So now let's get the back leg here. This one only has one flower, so it'll be pretty easy. I guess technically it has two. We got one down here. I'll throw a couple out there. Okay, there we go. Leg updated. And now I can take this one that I just drew up here and duplicate it, and I'll mirror it. And then I'll pull them back over here and I'll plop it roughly where I think it should be on this side. Where it goes into the belt. It does never overlaps with this bit. So probably somewhere right about there. Okay. I'll call that good. And I just clean up the stuff, overlapping the flower. Okay. And now, I guess, it is time to find the suit layer again. Where did I put it? I ask myself this all the time. You'd think after a while I'd memorize it, but I never do. And I can just erase the stuff that is going off of her. Okay. There we go. Yeah, that'll look pretty good once I shade it. Let's go ahead and add the thorns and the leaves. Okay, and a thorn. Thorn. Try to add them to roughly the same spots on the other side. You know, roughly. I don't think it has to be perfectly symmetrical. It already isn't. It already isn't. And I don't think it matters enough for me to want to go back and fix it, so all is well. Okay, and leaf. please, leaf. Thank you. That is exactly what I wanted. And decided to cooperate. Way to go, hand. Okay, let's see. And I think I'll put a leaf on this. And then up here. And over here. And let's do another... No, actually, I think that's fine. So let's just delete the things on the hand now. Oops, that's right, I can't do that. Gotta do it like this. There we go. And on the buttons. And there we go. Oh yeah, and the belt buckle. The belt buckle has a little bit of overlap as well. Okay. Well, that wasn't as bad as it could have been. Okay, and I think I'm gonna leave the sleeves the way they are. I have the trim that I wanted there. So I think all that's left is a little bit for the bottom of the cape, and then a little bit of the pattern that you're gonna see on this corner of the cape here. And then I think that'll be it for trim. I just have to shade it, and shading it is like easy, so that'll be fine. Let's see. Let's go to the bottom and find the cape here. I'll be filling this little gap that got made for some reason. Oh, that was the other leg. Okay, it's fine then. All right. Yeah, this is gonna be complicated enough that I think I want to do the trim on the other layer. Okay. I was considering just doing it on the same layer like I did with the back of the skirt here. But, nah. There's gonna be some light shenanigans that I look forward to drawing. So, I can see it in my head. So I think I'd be sad if I tried to do that. Oh god. Totally forgot. I'm gonna draw this direction instead. I'm scared now. Okay. I gotta be very careful around the leg here because I don't want to damage my pattern. Okay. There we go. Just quiet as for a second while I drew a straight line. I think I still drew it too thick though. So let's trim that. I want it to be about the same thickness as this line. So I gotta trim that just a little, made it just a little bit too big. And I'm being very particular about the thickness of the lines here because I do think that kind of thing makes trim look way better. I do. I really do. Okay. And I can just fix things up right there. And now for the thicker of the two lines. Actually, no, I don't want that trim to bleed around. The only reason I wanted the gold trim there is because when I picture how this thing is like sewn together, generally you would flip a little bit of it up and use this as like the back of the seam there. So I only think only the bottom is there. So I think that's actually correct. I think that's all it's gonna need. And now let's just add the slight bit of the swirly pattern that you'd see. It's gonna kind of match what's on the leg there, but I don't think there's gonna be any flowers. I think all I'm gonna do is some of the hints of the swirly bit. And my hand is just super wobbly. Let's, little thinner. There we go. I think that's good. And maybe I'll add just a tiny flower here. Just to make it clear it is the same kind of pattern. It's repeated. It's repeated everywhere. But it's just gonna be a little guy. Just a little guy. There we go. I think that's perfect. Okay. Okay, just making sure it is of reasonable size. And then I'll go in and add the thorns and the leaves, because those will still be there here. But there won't be that many. And this is the last little bit of pattern. This will let it reach out into the corner, so that'll be great. Okay, there we go. A pattern done. Finally! It's only been 3 hours. All right, let's shade it. That'll at least be the easy part, because I already have everything shaded the way it should be. This was showing the inside of the cuff, which is no longer the inside of the cuff, so... Because I added that little flower pattern on it. There will be some shading from the hair, though. And if I ever get lazy, I can always just go and select the shadows that I already drew. But I don't think I need to right now. I actually think this will be a little bit easier. Okay. Here it won't be, though. Well, I don't know. Maybe it will be. Let me see. Oh yeah, I'm just matching up with the stuff that I already drew. It's all very straightforward. This is why I took the time to have it all drawn beforehand. We'll see if I need kind of a middling tone here, since I do use a few more kinds of shadows on the black than I do the other gold parts. I might need that, I'm not sure. I'll see how it looks without it. But if I need a middling gold, I'm pretty sure I can find one. And we'll get the light spots too. Also important, can't forget them. Cover any cast shadows from other objects as well. I worked pretty hard to get all those shadows just right, so I definitely want to respect them. And I do think that they all look pretty good. Okay. This line should not be there. Got a little bit overzealous with that. Okay, so I see that this part is it light? I think so. Yeah, it is. So this part is light. The mask is on its own layer. So I will do him at the end. I'll get everything else first. Oh yeah, I changed that, so this is all gonna look a little bit different now. But there will still be... Oh no, there won't be. Not anymore, it's down here now. Okay. I'll have to adjust that since I did change the shape of this. Okay. Oh yeah, so that's not going to be shaped like that anymore either. Alright, I'll have to shade this one once I am a little bit more comfortable with how the rest is going to look. So let me just get the parts that I do definitely know here, and I will revisit this guy at the end. But I want to get the simple stuff first. I could go for some simple stuff right now. That sounds fantastic. It really does. Alright, and then we have some light up here and some dark in here. Definitely dark through there from cast shadows and whatnot. All this should be dark. Okay, but just to here, everything else is fine. And then I see that there's a little bit on the side here, just to show that this cape is of a very thick cloth. So we actually see a lot of the side there. All this should be... through here should be shadow. Actually, looks like I'm... Oh, no, I didn't. No, we're good. Okay. And we got some shadows here. Another spot to kind of show the thickness of everything. I just want to grab that before I do anything else. Because it's easy to forget, especially when I'm drawing things at a lowered opacity. Okay, so I think I already got up here nicely. Through here, it looks like I have a light spot coming. Yep, all of this is light. Okay, then all the way, most of the stuff here is going to be shadow. Just another little spot to show general thickness of a cloth on the cape. And all of this is shadow. All of that. You got a little bit that gets to be lit there, but not a lot. Just doing all this at low opacity first. I'll do another pass at 100% opacity once this is all done. But I do think that this is going to be a little bit easier than just not doing any opacity shenanigans. Alright, leg time. Leg is going to need a darker shadow for the back leg. But you know, unfortunately, once you get the initial stuff drawing, shading it is actually pretty easy. You know, you just lock the layer, and then I just color over the shading I already did. It's fantastic. Super easy. Not hard at all. Okay. But now I need colors. Oh, I didn't shade you. Shoot. Okay, well, I don't feel like getting off this layer right now, so I'll take care of that in a little bit. Okay, and then I need this dark color for the back leg here. Just the back leg, though. Okay. Let's see, is there anything else besides the couple of areas that I know I need to go over and the mask? I think I got them all. Let's see how well I did. And how much cleaning I have to do to get this to look good. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. Do definitely need to do a little bit of touching up, but not as much as I It's not as bad as it could be. So that's always wonderful to see. I'm just gonna go over everything here. Make sure it's all looking the way I want it to. Oh, I missed a spot right there. That one's actually pretty important too. Let's smooth this guy out just a little. He's a little blobby. Okay, want a little bit of shadow underneath the hair here. And, oh, that's looking good. Like I said, I need to take that one. I'll just do it at the end. Missed a couple of spots here, but that's fine. Let's see, I think I want a little bit more cast shadow from all of these. Yeah, I don't quite like the difference here, so maybe if I take like a 50% opacity brush just to get the color there, and then just put it over those areas that are like not super dark, but just a little bit darker than everything else. So just kind of through there. I think it'll look a little bit better. Oh, and I missed straight up just some shadow right here. Okay, and then I don't want this overlapping like that. And I do want a dark shadow to separate it from the lapel a little bit better. Okay, and then this new shadow color I just made needs to come over here into these areas. It's subtle, but I do think it makes a difference. So I want to get it in there. I don't think that's the right color. Yeah, it's not. I didn't have the right color. There we go. I was gonna say, I know it's subtle, but I thought it was a little bit stronger than that. Okay, and that should look a little bit more convincing there. And then we had here, which does look a bit messier than I would like. So let's just smooth it out just a little bit. Make sure the cast shadows from the hair look nice. And let's see. How are the legs? Oh, there's a highlight there. This one bleeds into the highlights just a little. Okay, I see a couple of spots that aren't lined up quite right. Easy enough to fix, though. And actually, I think all of those, because this is on the darker side of the leg, so I'm going to use that new mid-tone I just made for everything down here. So anything that's not shadow should actually be this color. There we go. Just to make things look a little bit more consistent there. And I think it's all lining up nicely now, so let's see, is that everything? Did I miss any spots besides the spots that I already know about? You are bleeding into the arm. Can't have that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think it all looks good. So now, let's actually fix the highlight that I didn't get on the skirt there. I want to do that before I forget. That sounds like something that would be so easy to forget. So let's just put that on there. Okay. I didn't miss any others, did I? Doesn't look like it. Everything else looks fine. Okay, I'm glad it was just one spot. And now I can kind of get this cuff here because, you know, I changed the shape of it, so I can't rely on the stuff that I did before. Oh, thank you. Hello, Tamak. Yeah, it's all coming together! Almost there! I'm kind of determined to finish off this little thing, so I'm probably gonna go a couple of minutes late, but that's fine. It will be done, thus declares me. Okay. Let's get that fold in there looking a little bit nicer. Get a little bit of rim light on there, because I think that'll look nice. Shape of this changed a little bit. And I think I will add just a tiny bend there. Where's my suit layer? I ask myself this every time. There it is. There we go. And I think that's good now. So now I can just do the last little bit of decoration that I wanted. And that's the white trim on the cuffs. Whew. Almost there. Okay. I just wanted a little bit of white going around here. Just a little bit. Oh, that one got real close at the bottom there. Gonna follow the same pattern as the rest of 2 lines. The bottom, or the one at the edge, thinner. The one inside, thicker. And then if I recall, I was thinking about putting a pattern on the back of the glove there, but I don't think I will, actually. I think they actually look perfect with nothing on them. Well, okay. I'm gonna do a little bit of science. I'm gonna try something on them. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna see what happens. Because I think I might just put the symbol of the Chiron Empire there. Okay. There we go. Let's get this shaded. So shadow color is going to be that guy. This guy is almost entirely in shadow. Okay. And then over here. This part, again, almost entirely in shadow. Kinda funny how it worked out that way, but it did. Alright. Then I'll just kinda clean up the edge as I see fit. Okay, and then up here. Make sure they're matching up nicely. Alright, there we go. Okay, and now for the last little bit of science I want to do. Let me find a reference for that. Okay. Okay. Here we are. I'm gonna do it kind of quick and dirty here. Just because I don't know if I'm even gonna want it there. So it's kinda small sword shaped thing here with a bunch of stuff going around. Okay, and what about on this side? We'd see just the little bit of stuff coming around. I think it looks better without. Okay. Well, okay, before I determine that, let me try one more color. Let me see if it looks better in black. Oops. Black's actually not bad. But I still think it looks better without. So, okay. We're good. Let's back it up. And this means that the only thing left is a shading on the mask. So let's go do that real quick, and then I gotta go, because I am running a couple minutes overtime. I swear, I have been running overtime every day this week, but it's felt good. Alright. So just gotta shade all the parts over here. Most of it's in shadow, and the parts that aren't in shadow are largely in light, so I can kinda shade like that. Just scribble over all of this. Get the light parts in. Okay, and there we go. I do believe that is a completed outfit. Now I just gotta figure out, you know, do the science that I've been wanting to do and make it soft like her face and her hair. So that'll be what we do next week, and I am so excited. I have been looking forward to that for so long. I was really hoping I'd be able to get to it today, but patterns are always a thing. But it's okay, they look great. I really like the way that they all turned out, and I think they're all looking good. I might honestly consider adding a few more to the skirt. We'll see how I feel next week. I did also consider for a little while adding a little bit to the arms there. And I might still add a little bit more white trim to the sleeve here. So there might be some things I kind of want to sleep on there anyway. I'm probably a little bit too tired to be making these decisions. But, yeah. That's, pretty dang close to what it's gonna look like for the final version. I like it. I think it looks really nice. I might just add a few more things to make it a little bit extra fancy, since it's supposed to be a little bit, you know... It's supposed to be for a rich people event, so it has to be a little bit extra. It's, in character. It's, important. So, we'll see how that ends up going. But, man, even if I add nothing else, I still like the way this looks. It's nice to actually look at something and be like, hey, I like this. Because that wasn't the case for a long time with this one. It took me a really long time to get this one to a state where I actually liked it. But I do like it now. Life is good. I will go ahead and stop here. So thank you all for coming. And I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I hope to see you all next week. Thursday will be more programming and game design, game development stream. Gotta do more quality of life. Make my life easy. So I hope to see you there. Bye-bye.